Welcome back to the HCG Diet Interviews with Everyday People. I have Melynda with me today, and we're going to hear all about her HCG weight loss journey. She's lost almost 70 pounds with the protocol, so we obviously can learn a few things from her. So welcome, Melynda.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes. So how about we just start with the basics, your age, your current health, all that stuff, just so that they have a baseline, your height.
Great. So I'm 5'7", and I am age 58, and I am postmenopausal. I am currently on FemHeart, which is a hormone replacement for people who are going through menopause. But I'm thinking I'm on the back side of that, so at least I hope so. I have a very good health. And I am not, I exercise every day. And so praise the Lord, I have no medical issues.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I looked up the FemHeart briefly because I wasn't, so I guess it's a combination of estrogen and progestin for hormone replacement. How long were you on that when you were doing HCG too, or no?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the whole time. That's kind of good to know. I actually do get that question a lot. We're like, oh, can I, if I'm on some type of hormone replacement, can I do HCG or will it work for me? So that's good to know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was having a lot of symptoms. Actually, I went to my gynecologist with like 3 pages of single typed written symptoms I was having. And she said, girlfriend, you're in menopause.
Wow. So, you're like, what's going, so how long has that been that you've been?
Since, 2000 and, I'm thinking 2010.
Okay, so like 8-9 years, 9 years.
It's been a while.
Gotcha. That's that's like early, huh, to go through menopause?
Yeah. I was early for everything.
Gotcha. I'm just curious. I know this isn't totally HCG related. Do you feel better with the FemHeart?
Oh my husband calls it my happy pill.
Really?
So did you take your happy pill today? So no, definitely. It totally changed my life. And the bottom line is, I know a lot of people are concerned about, is it something that's going to, cause cancer, or, should I take it or shouldn't I take it? And the bottom line for me was quality of life.
Yeah.
And when I had so many symptoms and so many things that it was affecting, to me, it was about quality of life, and I'll deal with whatever comes down the road when it comes down the road,
Right. I completely agree with that. Yeah. Do you mind just sharing like a few of the symptoms that are better with taking the FemHeart?
Oh, sure. The bottom line is I was going through this like really itchy stage. My feet would get hot and itchy, and it was crazy, and I was emotional wreck all the time. I was not able to lose any weight. Nothing I did. I was stuck. Stuck. And I just felt myself like just waning all over the place, Yeah. And I was tired. I didn't have much energy. So it definitely was something that I needed to do.
So now with that, do you feel more emotionally just stable and like?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great.
I absolutely do feel a lot more stable. And I think that when I started the HCG protocol, that helped me so much too, because my energy level was so high and I had good stamina throughout the day. I slept really good at night. And, of course, all of that is hormones, leveling out. And so that was really, really helpful to be on that. And then I was like, well, we can't be on this forever. Why can't I find something that would allow me to feel like that way forever? Yeah. And so the FemHeart actually kind of helps monitor that, of course, because it's a hormone, and so is HCG. Yeah. And then I also found a product called Somaderm Gel. And that is really something that has really totally helped, because it addresses your adrenals, it addresses your thyroid, it gives support for both of those, and also for your pituitary gland. So a combination of some things that I'm doing in my regimen that are all homeopathic, all safe, and really has helped me, my overall stability.
Good. That's good. You know,
Obviously,
yeah.
exercise too. It's been on the market for over 14 years. It was formulated by Alex Goldstein out in California. And bottom line, he was marketing it to people there locally. Yeah. And so he decided that he had a product that he had a 90% retention rate on. People kept coming back because they loved the product so much and how it was helping them. It has over 20 some botanicals in it and over 191 amino acids. So it's very healthy for you. Gotcha. And so he decided to market it, obviously, to the masses. So he's doing it through a direct marketing program. So that's how the nation is able to get it. Yeah.
Cool. So, and is it something you put on once or twice a day, or? Good
question. So it actually is transdermal, and you actually apply it 2 times a day. Some people apply it more than smaller doses throughout the day, but you just rub it on your wrist because it's transdermally put in and microdosing. So that's the way all homeopathics are done, through microdosing, which is awesome. Yeah. I wish that I learned the other day that President Roosevelt was approached by an allopathic doctor for a school and also a homeopathic doctor to build a school, and he opted to go with the allopathy doctor because he knew him as a friend, and so therefore homeopathic didn't get the same treatment. So a lot of people just aren't aware of it and how it works and how beneficial it can be. Right. It takes a little longer to see a result, obviously. Right. And the other thing is that we are in such an instantaneous society that we want to see, I have a headache, in a half hour I want it gone. You know, when you're working with homeopathic, or you're working even with HCG and being a homeopathic, if you're using that kind, it isn't something that just happens overnight. And so I think people just, you know, patience is a virtue. Right. Yeah. Well, and it's true too, because this is the same thing with herbals. Mm-hmm. I take a bunch of herbal tinctures right now for a condition I have. And yeah, they just say that it's like, the thing is it treats the root cause though. But it does take, like, the thing I'm on is going to take like 2 years supposedly but you know what I mean? But the point is that it's supposed to treat the root cause instead of just kind of putting the Band-Aid, where eventually you're going to be left with still having the root cause worsening and getting buried deeper inside of your body, basically, you know? That is so true. It does treat the root, not the symptom. Yeah. And we're so used to it treating the symptom. Yeah, because we want to get back to living life, which is understandable, but yeah, exactly. Oh, well, good. Well, thank you for sharing all that, because I do, you know, I have a lot of ladies in that phase of life, whether it's perimenopause or menopausal, and I know that is a big decision on whether or not to take hormone replacement. And so it's always good to hear from different people on how it's helped them, because it's hard when you're not feeling well, but it can be scary to try something new, especially if you're concerned about like your health or how it'll affect your weight. You know, I have a hard time trying new things too. But then sometimes once you do, if you hear some good reviews, then you can have a much better quality of life, like you mentioned. So exactly. And that's what I felt it was, I just needed to feel better. And also the people I live with, my husband, he was like, wow. You're too cute. Yeah, that was actually another one of my interviews. I'll link to it in the show notes, you guys. But she said the same thing. She was like, my husband just said, you need to do something. She's like, and I got my stuff and now I feel so much better. So that's good. Oh, I'll have to remember this for the future. So my husband's a nice guy, so I don't want to torture him. Well, let's move on to your HCG journey then. How about you just give us in a nutshell your weight loss, your size change, where you started, where you ended? Oh, sure. So when I made the decision to go with HCG, was back in, I started looking at it. Actually, it's interesting. I started looking at it in, I'm pretty sure it was President's Day in February of 2011. Someone had introduced me to it. Gotcha. And I was weighing at 206 pounds, 0.8, because, you know, when you're watching your weight, the points mean something. But anyway, this morning when I weighed in, I was 137.8, so I had lost 69 pounds. Wow. I went from a size 18 to a size 8. I did 4 rounds of drops. I used a the homeopathic drops that I got online, and I did 4 rounds, and between each round I had 6 to 8 weeks of maintenance. Gotcha. Because they say you can become immune to it, so each round you should separate. So I followed it to a T, and the goal was actually my I'm trying to think the word, my motivation. My husband, I weighed 133 when we got married.
Aww.
And we were sitting around a table with some friends, and I said, I just want to be 145 again. And he said, that'll never happen. Well, guess what? On my 50th birthday, I weighed 145 pounds. Now, obviously, I've lost more since then, but that was my goal at that time, and I achieved it. So, sometimes we just need that little motivation from someone that says you'll never do that to say, I can do that.
Like, excuse me, I
so
will prove you wrong. And now you're only 4 pounds from your wedding weight at 58 years old. That's pretty awesome.
I feel amazing. I really, really do. I'm very, very happy. Hcg just changed my life.
That's great.
Totally changed my life.
What do you mind sharing the brand of drops that you used?
Oh, not at all. I went to yourhcg.com.
Okay.
They have a great support system there. You can email them. If you chat with somebody online, then you can get a transcript of what you chatted, which is always nice because you can go back and look at your notes.
Right.
Some of you can just email them with a question or call them with a question, and that was really helpful for me.
And
just that connection.
Good. And then, so is it homeopathic? Because I see so many brands online today that they're actually hormone free. Like, they're not a homeopathic preparation, but they're advertised as that. So is yours actually like the homeopathic preparation?
It is my understanding it is, yes.
Okay, cool. It's always good to do, you guys. It's just whatever you decide to do is fine. It's just that you want to know that whatever you've decided is what you're getting, So it's like, if you're going to do hormone-free drops with nothing, that's fine, as long as you know that that's what, if you want homeopathic, that you should know that that's what you're getting,
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we'll have that in the show notes too, you guys. So almost 70 pounds, 18 to size 8, 4 rounds. And how long has it been that you've been, I know you said you've done a few rounds in between, but how long has your overall maintenance been?
Since October of 2011. So that's 7 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Now you've done some, you said kind of little detox rounds in between then. Like, about how many pounds, I guess, has been your main maintenance that you've kept off? And then, you've had to do some fixing, like you said. Do you want to share that?
Sure. So the bottom line is, when I start feeling like the weight's creeping up, I don't let it go beyond 15 or 20 pounds that I've put on before I do a round of 23 days or something like that.
Got it.
Because it's your clothes still kind of fit within that 20 pounds, and most people don't notice 20 pounds one way or the other.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the breaking point. When I hit that, it's over.
Gotcha.
I got to do something.
That's great. And that's so good too, because you guys, what that means is for 7 years, she's been maintaining 50 to 55 pounds of weight loss consistently. And I love that you said that, because it is true. Like, we'll talk about more in your notes, just kind of our own personal weaknesses that we have that might kind of start creeping up again. But just catching things before it just kind of goes all the way back, So
absolutely.
That's really good.
Yeah.
How did you come to, what's your history with becoming overweight and your struggles with that?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like I've been overweight my whole life. My family has a history of just being not not obese, but just carrying too much weight around. And it's all because we love food, and we live in Lancaster County. In Lancaster County here, Pennsylvania, we have Pennsylvania Dutch food, which is all fatty, lots of lard, everything's really sweet. whoopie pies come from here. Shoe fly pie comes from here. And when we make like sweet potatoes, they're made with lard and butter. And so that just was our lifestyle. And my mother was the type that if you didn't eat, you know, oh, have some more, have some more. And it was one of those things that if you didn't eat it, then she felt like you didn't like it. And we were all like full, you know. So it's just been a history of overeating, sitting down to have like monkey bread, which I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's all full of sugar and of course lots of starch with bread, and you pull it apart and you just don't stop. You just keep.
Yeah.
And so that's been kind of what my history has been. And so getting away from that is so hard, because you have to really set boundaries. And when you set boundaries, some people take that as an offense.
Yeah.
And at some point, we have to stop pleasing others and decide that this is what I want for me. And so therefore, with that in mind, I've got to set this boundary. And what is that boundary? And don't be offended by that boundary. It's my boundary. It's not, I'm not imposing that on you, but it is a boundary I've got to keep. Otherwise, I'm going to be like that all the time.
Right.
So.
No, that's good. Do you have any, since you've had experience with having to do that, because this is another question I get. Yeah, it's like, how do I handle changing how I eat with my family and relatives? Because this is what they do every weekend or whatever. Like, did you have to actually talk to people, or do you just kind of like say things nicely in a setting? Or like, how did you actually handle this change where people will still talk to you?
Well, you know, there were times when I thought if I could control what I was doing in my environment, then when I went there, I didn't have to make a big deal about it, but I could choose to then not take as large a portion.
Gotcha.
Or I could choose which foods I would eat, opposed to those foods that I thought, oh, maybe I better stay away from that, you know, and try to, you know, veggies first, you know, that's always a good one. And stocking up on your protein, obviously, those two things together are always a good match. Making sure I drank lots of water before I left. I do drink shakes. I'm a Beachbody coach, so I use Beachbody Shakeology, and I have those one time a day. I'll have a shake. Now, what I have learned is they also have a shake that's called Daily Sunshine. It was geared towards children. And what I've learned is that if I have that shake, like if I am going to an event or a party and I have the really nutritious shake for like breakfast, I'll eat a regular meal around 11 or so. And then in the afternoon, instead of having another meal, I'll have a mini shake, what I call a mini shake. Then when I go to the party, then I try to focus in on veggies and protein and making sure I'm drinking a lot of water while I'm doing that. And then if I want to taste something, I'll taste it. That's not a problem. Gotcha. So I just have tried to be as kind about it as I can, at the same time controlling, you know, trying to learn to control myself.
Gotcha.
So.
No, that's good. It sounds like you kind of just try to blend in, like, I don't know, this is what I tend to do. It's like if you're going down the line with all the different food on a potluck and you just kind of like take a little bit, like you just try to blend it and then take a lot of the other food, like you said, maybe the healthier items. So you're not like, you look like you're eating the same pretty much as everyone else, even though you aren't.
Exactly. Well, what happens is if you choose not to eat it, then you get all these thousands of questions.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when I started on March 7th of 2011, was a Wednesday, I'm pretty sure it was either Monday or Wednesday, it doesn't matter, but it was the week of, it was Ash Wednesday, and it was the beginning of Lent. And I thought, oh, this is a perfect time, because if I don't eat something, then I can say, I gave it up for Lent.
Yeah. It's good to have excuses, you know?
So I really didn't choose to tell too many people what I was doing. But then when they started seeing results, then I could share with them what I was doing. And then they kind of understood, oh, well, she can't eat that, or she's not going to eat that. You know what I'm saying? So and when I load, I always load when it's convenient, for like, there's a party happening, like Super Bowl party, or, you know, it's at Christmas time, or, you know, whatever, you know, I make that all work for me and know, okay, are the days to follow going to be days filled with a lot of parties? And I don't want to load them. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to work your plan your work and work your plan.
Yes. No, I agree. That's very smart pre-planning thing. And then so you said because I actually liked how you kind of shared what you did, and we're talking right now, you guys, about like, you know, maintenance style as far as handling social situations and trying to maintain. So not necessarily on HCG. So the shakes that you have, you said those are Beachbody brand?
Yep,
Okay.
Shakeology.
Oh, Shakeology. Right. Okay. I just
Yep.
like to give people links and products in case they want to try stuff themselves. And then there's, you said the child's one, it's called Sunshine something?
Daily Sunshine. It doesn't have quite as many nutrients in it,
Sure.
but it's for picky kids.
Gotcha.
So it's a lighter shake.
Yeah.
And a lot of adults use it for that kind of like curb the cravings in the afternoon. I mean, if anybody's interested, you can always have them linked towards me.
Yes.
For either the Somaderm gel or for the Beachbody shakes, because they can always order either of those through me.
Let's do that, you guys. So we'll have that in the show note links, and we'll have all of those things if you want to try whatever we're talking about. Yeah, I love to give. I feel like that's what makes our interviews useful, you know, is if we actually, because you hear someone did something, but then there's no way to like do it yourself. So it's good. Yes. Nice. And I like how you have a plan for the social situations. I think it's, for me, I do this, you know, I don't do the exact same thing, but it's the idea is that you adjust your eating before or after or both, so that you can enjoy maybe more food or, you know, differently at the gathering. But still keep everything in balance. You know, there's a way to do that. And there's nothing wrong with making adjustments before and after to fit that in, you know.
Absolutely. And I will add that if I get to a party and I look at something and I think, wow, that looks so good, I'm going to taste it. And I taste it and it isn't like to my liking, it goes right in the trash, because I am not wasting those extra calories on something that I've just come to the, to the understanding within myself. If it don't taste good, it goes.
It's not worth it, right?
Right. That's right.
Now, I also appreciated something you said in your notes, because you talked about how like the way you grew up was with eating all these sorts of things, but that even once you started eating clean, since being on HCG, you just said even overeating the right foods can get me into trouble. Yeah.
So, go ahead. I found some things that I feel are healthy. Like, let's just use almonds for an example.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was using that as a snack when I kind of was like, oh, I kind of want something. I'm really not hungry, but I have a craving for something, and I go to almonds. Well, they tasted so good to me that I portion everything else. That has been the key for me, is to making sure that everything is portioned. So I would even as much as a quarter of a cup of almonds would go into a snack baggie, zip it, and I would have them all there, just grab one and go. Well, if I would find myself going back for more and going back for more, I would justify that, well, it's okay because that's a healthy food. But the bottom line is it was way too much. I even learned, I didn't know this initially, but I even learned, well, probably within the last year or so, that a whole banana is 2 servings. And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
A half a banana is a serving.
Yeah.
And so, you know, how many of us just go out and eat a whole banana and don't think anything of it, you know? So I think educating throughout the years, just educating myself on different things. And people will say to me, well, what's the best diet out there? And I'll say, you know what? The one that works for you. Yeah. And, you know, that's the bottom line. I had an aunt who was on Weight Watchers, and she was Weight Watchers all the way her whole life, maintained her whole weight, everything. And that's what worked for her. And so, yeah, I just find that there are healthy foods that you can eat, but you can overeat on them. And so you just have to be careful. So that's why I portion everything out. And I find, because I'm eating 4 meals a day, by the time I'm getting my last meal in, I'm really very satisfied. That's extremely satisfied.
That's great. Yeah, I do appreciate that too, because I definitely have the same struggle. you know, with overeating healthy foods. Cause same as you, I've been maintaining for, 7 years and, or 6 years, 7 years. Yeah. But, and, 7, 6.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think our stories parallel, I think.
they are 2012. Oh, no. It'll be 7 years in October. Yeah. So it's been just over 6 years for me. But yeah, same thing is like you said, you go back for more. And the thing is, everything has calories. So there's only so many you can eat, regardless. I think it'd be pretty hard to overeat lettuce, but, but you know what I mean? It's like everything adds up. And if you just eat a certain amount of quantity, especially with things like you mentioned with the almonds, they're calorie dense foods. And they're not always as filling, even though they have a lot of fat. The volume wise, you could still still only taking up so much space in your tummy, and so then you're like, you know.
Oh,
And it is
so
true, like you said, educating yourself too, because I had a friend who was trying to eat more healthy, and so they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this smoothie with cashews or whatever, and it's like it still had like a whole cup of cashews, which is like 800 calories. But it's like he didn't realize that, because he's like, well, it's healthier, it's nuts, and so he's eating this whole little like healthy ice cream, but then like, oh well, it still has it's still quite a lot.
It's like going to the salad bar and piling everything on it that they offer you.
Right.
It's just, you might as well have just gone and gotten a steak or gone and gotten a hamburger. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. So, and it is true. It's just something that I think is what I got out of yours, is that we're always just kind of, we're in a good space, then we might slide a little, and then we remind ourselves, and we kind of come back, and it's kind of something we have to continually just be aware of and remind ourselves of.
I think we just need to be constantly tweaking. And I think one of the other things is not beating yourself up. And I do that all the time. So don't misunderstand me. I'm so hard on myself. That's just my personality. I'm an overachiever. But you know what? You have to look at we're never the same. The only person that's the same yesterday, today, and forever is Jesus. I wasn't designed to be the same every day, forever. So some days, maybe I didn't get enough water. Maybe I exercised and I'm building muscle. Maybe I didn't, have my bowel movement today. And all those things are going to make a difference on the scale. And sometimes, and I found that when I go on the scale, sometimes I think it takes 2 days to register when I've overeaten on the scale. So, you go on the next day and you're like, woohoo, and then the next day you're really up and you're like, what happened? Right. And I think learning to be in tune to your body and understanding, just some of those things that can make that scale go up or down for whatever reason, is very helpful. Very helpful to know.
That's good. Yeah. And I think, like you said too, just realizing things are real. I think I got away with it. Like somehow it didn't affect me this time. Like, no, it will. It's just, like you said, a matter of time. So that's too funny.
Just wait till tomorrow and it'll be there.
Yeah. I tell that to ladies sometimes because I've seen this happen too on HCG. Sometimes someone will cheat, and then the next day there's like, oh, I still lost weight. And they feel like, it somehow didn't affect me. But then the next day, then they have a gain, or there might be a stall for 3 days. So it's like, wait it out, you guys. Don't trust the initial check-in of the next day. If you're trying to decide if you can get away with cheating, watch them for a few days and make sure,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
for sure.
Did you have B12 on P2? And if you did it help you, or?
So that's a good question. While I was on the drops, I did not need any supplements. As a matter of fact, Dr. Simeon's protocol, and I follow that to a T. I know there's other programs out there that allow you some flexibility. That has not been my experience. I've never chosen to do that. I understood his basic thesis, and so I follow that to a T. But what I found when I came off of the Hcg protocol in P2 and started into maintenance P3, that I just became so tired and so sluggish. And why do I feel like this? I felt so great while I was on that. And so when I inquired with your Hcg, which is the company I use to get the drops, they suggested I do a B12, B6 pill, or I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway, so I got it in liquid form from my chiropractor, and I just take that, and I still take it every day.
Got it. So is that like a sublingual B12 or yeah? Is that like
yeah? So it's just put it on your tongue. Yep.
Right.
Yep. I put 3 drops on my tongue every morning.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yep.
We'll have a link, you guys, to I have a couple. If you have a certain brand you like, we can share it too. But I also have like a sublingual B12 in a dropper. I think you absorb it better supposedly than swallowing capsules. So
yeah, I agree. It gets into your bloodstream quicker.
And did that help? Like, did you feel like that helped your energy?
Oh my word, it definitely helped.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
I was
good.
glad they suggested that.
Like, oh, thank you. Nobody likes to be tired. How did you feel like your first week, or just in general on P2, the first week or the whole time? How did you feel while you were on the diet?
Well, when I first started, I got to tell you, I was so excited about loading because I love to eat, all this volume of food and lots of fatty foods. And I was like, as a matter of fact, I was like, we were looking at all the labels to find out what was the fattiest, foods we could eat. I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I remember going in and saying, I want the fattiest piece of chicken you have.
Oh, funny.
I got to the point on my first round, I remember it like it was yesterday, I just got to giggling, and I realized that I was just intoxicated with food. I was laughing, and it was just hysterical. But I realized too, if you load correctly, the less hunger you'll have in the first week, because it's going to take a while. That's why they have you do the loading period, and you're still doing the drops. It's going to take a while for it to get in your system and you to stabilize. But one of the other suggestions that was given to me is that if you are feeling hungry, then increase the drops. So instead of taking 6 drops 6 times a day, then take 7 drops 7 times a day, and see if that doesn't help, level that hunger out. Gotcha. I had also learned that if you wait, the people who wait until noon to have their first meal are people who lose more weight. Well, I wanted to lose as much weight as I could, so I was like, okay, I'm all for that. But when I first started, I did allow myself like maybe a grissini stick in the morning, or something like that, just until I was playing around with it. And I think that's another thing. You have to allow yourself the freedom to play around with it. Yeah. Maybe I just did 2 meals a day. I did one around noon, 1 o'clock, and then I did my other one 5 or 6 o'clock. I drank lots of fluids in between, because you could have coffee, you could have tea, you could have water. I did all of that and lots of it. So for me, I really felt very comfortable on the foods I was eating, and I felt content and I felt full. And some days I found myself asking, oh my gosh, I think I didn't eat yet. And, because I was so content.
Nice.
Understanding that when the HCG is breaking down your stored fat, it's bringing that whole stored fat nutrition into your system. So you not are only eating the 500 calories that you have for the day, but your system has brought into it, since it broke all your fat down, it might bring in anywhere from 1,500 to 4,000 calories a day on top of what you're eating. So I think when you realize that, and if you do get hungry, sometimes you have to just stop and ask yourself, is this really true hunger? Or is it, I haven't drinking enough water today? There's a couple different things that it could be.
Yeah,
so,
no, definitely.
My first week, I really never had any issues, because I remembered reading that if you load correctly, you have less hunger. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to push through it and be a Nazi. And that's what I did.
That's good. That's good. I'm curious, usually when I hear people doing homeopathic drops, they take it 3 to 4 times a day, but you said you took it 6 to 7 times a day?
Yeah, so I take it 6 times a day.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know if you would have wanted me to share about that,
Sure,
so I didn't bring the bottle up, but
sure.
It's 6 drops
underneath
your tongue 6 times a day.
Wow.
So 9, 12, 3, 6, and 9. And then if you are having that extra hunger, then instead of 6 drops, you do 7, 6 times a day.
Wow.
And then you hold it under your tongue for 30 seconds. And then you're not allowed to eat anything or drink anything for a half hour.
Okay. No eating.
And, you know, there were some days when it's like, okay, I know it's time to have my drops, you know, and there were other days when, you know, and I created this little chart that I put on the bottle, and I would cross it off whenever I would have it. I did all kinds of tricks like that to just kind of keep me on track.
Yeah, no, it can be challenging. I'm surprised because I take my herbal tinctures right now 4 times a day, and I thought that was a lot. Like it can be tricky to remember it, but you know, but I guess like you said, you get into a little bit of a habit. So
well, and I think since you're not allowed to eat anything afterwards, so then I say when around that time would be good for me to take it. Like, okay, I'm going to work. Well, I'm probably not going to drink anything on the way to work, so take it right before I leave, and I'll be driving for 20 minutes to a half hour, so then I'm good, and I know as soon as I get there, I can drink.
Sure.
Or I'm taking the dogs for a walk, take it before I leave. You know, I tried to, again, I think if we plan out your work and you work your plan, that's the best. Flying off by the seat of your pants is not good for this program at all. You have to really kind of just know, you know, have a game plan for sure.
That's true. Now, so you were very strict, the original Simeon's protocol, which you shared. So do you have like a few, I don't know how you ate the foods on P2. I don't know if you just kept it pretty plain, or did you have any little recipe concoctions that you had that were your favorites that you want to share?
So since we're talking about where I got it from, your HCG provides a recipe book.
Nice.
And so we just went in there and looked at different things that I might like to eat, and we just followed the recipe in the book. And my husband, I have to give him a lot of credit, all of the credit really, because he loves to cook. He's a gourmet cook by self-taught, and he loves experimenting with herbs and spices. And so knowing that we couldn't just go out and like buy emerald spice because it would have sugar in it, everything has sugar. He would get the regular spices, and he'd make his own blend. Nice. And then he would flavor the fish with that. There's a mustard fish in here, so there was a certain mustard that we could use. That was really good. And then he would actually cook the chicken with the skin on it, and then remove the skin before I would eat it. So it helped to kind of put a little bit of flavor in there, and that never affected me whatsoever.
Nice.
He also, we made meatballs, and of course you use the grissini or the Melynda for your binder in your meatball. So we use turkey. That's not necessarily something that they tell you can use, but we used it, and I didn't have any problems with it.
Nice. So, that's good to hear, because I hear different things on that. But yeah, I mean, it's like so similar to chicken. It's, you know, but then some people are like, no, you can't have turkey. But that's great. So you had turkey. It wasn't a problem. That's cool.
And it's 90, I think we really made sure it was like the 98% fat.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So chicken, fish, shrimp, turkey meatballs, you know, that was a good variety for me. I know some of the girls struggled that I was kind of helping. They struggled with eating the same thing over and over and over again. I don't have a problem with that. That doesn't bother me. So if you're someone who needs a ton of variety, then you just have to mix it up as best you can.
Right. Yeah, that's good. What were a couple, if anyone ends up getting the cookbook, do you have just a few titles that were your favorite recipes that they can go straight to make?
Yeah, actually. So we have, one of my favorites was cabbage wraps.
Cabbage wraps. Okay. Cool.
So it's made your whole meal is all contained in, you buy the biggest head of cabbage you can find, because you need all the big leaves, and you're going to steam that head of cabbage, okay? Nice. And then you saute your apple portion and your chicken portion. You saute that, and I can find the recipe in here for that. Then once that's all sauteed together, then you pour it into the cabbage leaf roll it all up, and you can have actually 4 of those for one meal. Oh,
Nice.
it's to die for.
That's
That is my top of the line best meal on the protocol.
Well, good.
I'll have to find that. And a vegetable that I really liked was cucumber salad. Now, I don't know, depending, I guess, where you live in the country, but when we make cucumber salad here in Pennsylvania, it's vinegar and sugar and cucumbers and onions. Well, you can't mix cucumbers and onions, so we just use cucumbers without the onions, salt and pepper to taste, and then stevia for our sugar to flavor it, which is really good, and dill is sprinkled on top of that. That's a really good, refreshing, you know, if you're tired of eating cooked vegetables, that's a really good, refreshing vegetable to have. Salad.
Now, was that in the book, or is that just your own recipe?
Yep, no, that's in the book.
Okay, great. So the cucumber salad, that's another one to look at.
Oh, and another one that's really good. My husband kind of found this. You take a whole Vidalia onion and you salt and pepper, and you stick it, you wrap it in foil, okay? And then you bake them in the oven. Oh my word, because once they're baked, they're so sweet. That's a very easy and different tasting vegetable to have like that too.
I love cooked onion like that. Oh, so good. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
You feel like you're having something sweet, kind of, even though you're not.
So we would do the meatballs that are in the book here. He would buy 2 pounds of turkey, and it would make about 60 meatballs. He made them by hand, and it would give me 7 per serving.
Nice.
So that they were very good too.
That's great. Everybody needs to have a meatball maker in their home.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, 60. How long did that take? That's awesome.
Exactly. He puts them on a cookie sheet and throws them. Yeah,
that's great. Well, thank you for sharing. Those are great. So we'll put the names of those recipes in there, and then the link to the cookbook or whatever if they.
Yep. One of the things that I think I loved about this program was that they had a way of escape if you fell off the wagon. And let's face it, we're all going to fall off the wagon. We're all going to get to that place in our life where something's going to happen, either emotionally, physically, whatever, and, you know, we're going to gain weight. And so I loved in Dr. Simeon's protocol where he said the morning you are up more than even 2 ounces above where you're supposed to do a steak day immediately. And I think that's a mindset. It's something that allows you to say, oh my gosh, so I am up, but I have a way of escape. I can bring this back in line right away and get right back on. I've been doing so good. And then you don't beat yourself up. So actually what happened to me is I have been really, really good. It's been a month and a half that I have stayed within the 4 or 5 pound zone that I want to be in. And Saturday night, I had one of those days, I'm telling you, I fell off the wagon, I had a little bit of alcohol, and I just started eating stuff. I lost my mind. The next day, I'm telling you, the next day, I was 1 pound over in my zone. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding. So I thought, I'll do a steak day. So I did a steak day yesterday. Now here, we were invited to, the playoffs were yesterday, football playoffs were yesterday. We were invited to my friend's house, and she knows that, you know, what I'm doing in my life and what my lifestyle's like. And I had to go to a play yesterday, and my husband, I said, would you please make a steak and just bring it along? You know, I'll just eat it cold. I don't care. I have to have a steak day. And do you know, I was down 3 pounds this morning. Yay. Right back in the zone. So I really recommend if you're in maintenance and or even P4, I even tell friends who aren't I've never been on HCG. It works for everybody. Yeah. It works for everybody. Do a steak day. Or if you feel like you're stalled, do an apple day. And what's nice is they tell you all about those in these books.
Nice.
So that's great. I love that.
That's great.
I eat 4 meals a day. And they're all basically just like P2 meals. I've just added fat to my meals. And the only sugar I ever use really is stevia. So adding sugar to my diet really isn't anything. I have my weaknesses like peanut M&Ms or whatever. And, you know, if I eat one, I'm usually done. I eat the whole bag. So I try to just realize you have to just learn who you are and what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I love that. I think we're very similar. You mentioned you're an all or nothing person, and I've worked so hard at not being that way. But when it comes to food, that is definitely still, like, for me, I've just learned to cut certain things off entirely, or I just lose it. I still, 6 years later, it's like, I just have to stay away from certain things. So
I would encourage people that this is a journey. You know, I had a girlfriend who went on HCG, and she's going on a couple different programs. And the purpose of losing the weight was an event. And that's a destination. And when you go into that destination, you park yourself there, it's really hard to come back out on the journey again.
Right.
And so I would just encourage anyone, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's HCG, it's Weight Watchers, or Jenny Craig, or whatever, the bottom line is it's a journey. It's a lifestyle change. And learning that, like you said, there's certain foods that I know that's a trigger for me. And if I even eat one of those, forget it, it's over. But I've also learned that I can ask myself before I go to an event, is this an eating opportunity for me? Is this an opportunity that I want to take, and also then realize that I'm going to pay the cost tomorrow on the scale? You know, is this something that, and choose that before you go. It's all about your mindset. If you get your mindset right before you leave, then yeah, I think that's
true. I think that's good advice. Yeah, just making, like you said, those changes long term. I think one of the things that I ask myself sometimes is when because of my all or nothing personality in the past, when I ate something or overate, I would feel like so bad about it. Then I would just be like, well, whatever, it's ruined now. I might as well just eat whatever until whenever. It's like, you know, and so of course that didn't do me too well. And I know a lot of you ladies out there do that too. So I have learned, amazingly, it's like, this is possible. I have learned to, because I do still overeat sometimes, you know. I've learned though not to, like you said, you ask yourself that question, like, have I really ruined everything? Or is it just that, okay, now I have an opportunity, now that I've kind of realized, like, oh, you know what, I overdid it, I'm not happy about that. And so it's like, oh, and now I have an opportunity to start eating good now and just fix that and take care of it and just eat right. And consistently, I feel consistently that I have the mental ability to do that now, so that I don't just kind of keep getting out of control. So I think it's
and I write everything down on my calendar. So I have a calendar here that I hang in my dressing room, and when I weigh, I write down the weight. And for the whole month of December, I was right in the zone. And now this month, I did really, really good. And I don't know if you can see or not, but there's a big yellow spot there.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, that was the day I went, off the wagon. The reason I do that is to prove to myself, look how consistent you have been. There is a law out there of sowing and reaping. And if you sow consistently, eating the right things, and then you have a day where you fall off the wagon, it's going to happen. The consistency will override that one day if, again, you get back on track. Now, if I would have just blew it off to the wind, and I'd be back on my gaming again. Right. And, sometimes we have to choose our hard. Is it harder for me to take one day where I fast all day long and have a steak in the evening? Wow, steak's great, right? Yeah. Or 45 days on protocol, which hard do you want,
Right. No, it's so true. If you try to think ahead like that, you realize, because you're right, either way, something is uncomfortable once you have to fix something. But like you said, it's like, or even when you choose to deny yourself something in a setting, that can be uncomfortable and hard. But then for me, I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to have to deal with the mental strain of like having the scale be up and trying to fix it. I just don't want to deal with it. It's actually not worth it, and that helps me a lot too.
I think, yeah. And I think if we can wrap our heads around those things in advance, I have the 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. That's why all my meals are measured out. They're in the freezer. All I have to do is grab and go. You know, I don't have to measure how much time to eat, just defrost them in the microwave and eat. It's so easy, you know, and then I can eat when I need to eat. But there's a quote that I have here that, and I wanted to share with you, and I don't know if you can see this or not. And I think I can send these to you. I don't know.
Sure.
But I don't know if you can is it
I can
easy
see a picture.
Maybe it's not easy to see. Anyway, I have pictures of when I first went on protocol in 1 month, what my body looked like and changed, how it changed in just 1 month in the protocol. And what I love about this protocol is the fact that it addresses your whole body. You know, it's taking the fat from everywhere. It's not just one isolated place. But I have this quote that, and I don't know how much more time we have, but I would like to read it if I could. It says, "I'm confident and on track now, but I'll never forget where I once was. I know bad habits wait on us forever. They don't ever go away. They will always be there, just around the corner, lurking and looking for an opening. If you're an addict to food or alcohol or cigarettes or even the wrong person in your life, if you've got a bad habit of any kind, I don't think it just disappears. If you stop setting goals for the future, if you start living in the moment again, that's when those bad habits will push their way back into your life." And I have that hanging here in my office because I think of that so often. You know, those bad habits are just lurking there in the shadows, like waiting to, you know, jump in, and it's so easy. And so I think about that a lot. And I have this year decided that what I sow, I'm going to reap. So I need to sow consistency in my life, and that's my goal for 2019.
I love that. That's a powerful quote. Well, if you don't mind sending the quote like written out, we'll put that in the show notes too. I love that because like it says, you remember where you came from. That's what helps you kind of stay on track. Because I remember how miserable I was. So there's times when, you just really want to eat something or eat a certain way, and it feels so worth it in the moment. But if you do remember where you came from, you're like, no, I was not happy that way. Like that was not good for many reasons. And then I like too how the quote, was this something you wrote, or where's the quote from?
Oh yeah, good. So if you're familiar with Body for Life, Bill Phillips, this is one of his contestants had this quote in the book.
Nice. That's
I'll make sure when I send it over to you that I recognize who it was. That
and I like too how like you said, the things are always lurking there. I kind of liken it in your brain because it's like, you create new pathways, right? That's why it's like you can develop new habits. So, and that kind of becomes your easy way to go. But like you said, when you kind of drop your guard or you're living in the moment, sometimes it's like that old path, it's still there. It's just that it's like weedy, but it's still there. So then you can kind of find yourself going down it. And then if you don't pay attention, it's like pretty soon you're wearing that trail out again so that it becomes easier to go down. And so.
Yeah, for sure. And I had learned way back with years ago, because I've done many, many different programs, but I had heard that, which is always something, I think I put it in my notes here, I can't put my finger right on it, but it basically says that nothing tastes as good as thin feels.
Yeah. And
I think of that too, that's why when I pick something up and it doesn't taste like, wow, that was like crazy town. Like, I'm going to want more of that. If it doesn't taste like that, it goes. I'm back eating sticking with my celery or whatever. So, yeah.
That's good. Well, thank you so much for all of that, Melynda. I really appreciate it. I feel like we just got so many good lessons for all of us, just related to mindset, Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Because honestly, you guys, that you could have everything else right, but if you don't have that, you won't be able to stick to P2 and you won't be able to maintain. So like that has to be addressed. So those are all good thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with me today, and congratulations on doing well for so long.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I followed you for so long, and I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Just really excited to be able to connect with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much too. Yeah, so you guys, all the show notes will be there with all the links to everything we've talked about today. And you can always see all of the HCG interviews I've done at hcgchica.com/HCG interview or /interviews, I think. I don't remember. All right. Thank you so much.